What is going on, guys, and welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to be doing another review video. I did a couple review videos in the past. We did one on the titanium 170 MIG welder right here behind me, and then we also did one on the prime weld 225 TIG welder, and both of those videos did pretty well. So I figured we might as well go ahead and do another review video because we've been working on the GTO and we've been working on the intercooler piping. I've been welding them up using the prime weld. And I had to make some pretty funky cuts out of a U-bend piece of pipe, and I was sanding them down by hand, and I decided, you know what, we could use a belt sander, and if we're gonna get one, we might as well do a review on one. So we went ahead and took a ride over to Harbor Freight and picked up the Century Machine belt sander. It is a pretty budget-friendly belt sander. That's one of the main reasons we went with it. I don't have a belt sander. I've got the bandsaw, the welders, and all that good stuff, and just haven't bought a belt sander because I haven't been doing much of this type of stuff. But since we've been getting more into our own fabrication, I figured it'd be a great time to go ahead and pick one up. I looked on YouTube, couldn't really find any videos of people using these belt sanders how I want to use them. Everybody seemed to be using them with wood because that seems to be what they're made for. So I figured we'd go ahead and give it a shot and see how it works with aluminum tubing. We might give it a shot with some mild steel and some other things, but mainly getting it for the purpose of making like charge piping and stuff like that. If you guys aren't already subscribed, please think about hitting that button and ringing the bell. That way you get notified anytime we put out a video with the GTO, the Duramax, or the Hellcat. Let's jump right into today's video. Alright guys, so now that we got through the intro there, let's go ahead and check out what this thing comes with. I went ahead and picked up some belts for it while we were there. We picked up this one here. This is the 120 grit. And we also picked up a single of 80 grit because I'll probably mostly be using the 120 grit for the aluminum tubing. So I picked up a 5-pack, and then the 80 grit will work good if I need to take a bunch of material off. So we got a single and then a 5-pack. And then while we were there, we picked up some of the Hercules 6-inch discs. This one's 180 grit because they didn't have 120. And then again, 80 grit, take off more material, fine tune it, and do less material. I do have some even finer. I think I've got like 320 and 400 in the 6-inch discs, so I went ahead and just got a 180. I've been really happy with the Hercules products so far. We've gotten them for a few things. When we were building the steel deck trailer, we have a car trailer that we turned from wood deck into steel deck, which you guys can go back and check out on the channel as well. And we used a lot of the Hercules products. We tried their metal saw. It's been a great product. If they had a Hercules belt sander belt, I would have picked that up, but they didn't. So that's why we went with the regular Harbor Freight brand here. Actually, not even sure what they call it. The Warrior brand belt. So that's what we got there. If you guys have been following the channel for the other reviews, you know that I don't like to do a unboxing video too much. It's just not really my thing. I don't like to bore you guys showing you me setting it up. So we will probably just go ahead and get this thing set up. If I'm going to do anything, I might do a time lapse, but we'll probably just go ahead and get it set up and then get to testing it out and see what we think about this thing. So let's go ahead and open this thing up and get it all set up and try this thing out. Alright guys, we'll give this a shot. Let's see if I can do it better than I did in the prime weld video. Well, there it is, guys. So we got it all set up. As you can see, we don't have those pads on it that I had mentioned I bought, these ones here, because some of you might have noticed it, but my dumbass did not. These are hook and loop style. I thought they were stick-on pads. It didn't really look too carefully. So I'll bring these back tomorrow and see what they have for some decent stick-on ones, but I had some 180 grit stick-on ones kicking around. You can put this bench either here or over here. I just put the little guard here because we're going to be using it for pipe and stuff, so I don't really need this whole setup over there. But all in all, so far, it seems pretty decent. I mean, you've always got to remember that you're spending $80, really $90 or less on this thing, especially if you have a coupon. But we're going to go ahead and kick it on real quick. Some of the reviews I read were saying it's bad about vibration, but as of right now, it seems pretty good. So let's go ahead and kick it on. So far, it's not all that loud. I didn't know if it'd be a little bit louder, but it doesn't seem too bad. The vibrations don't seem all that bad. So, so far I'm pretty happy with it. Haven't really tried it yet. I figured I'd wait for you guys to try it for the first time. When I did kick it on for the first time, I had to adjust the belt, the drive, I don't know what exactly you call it, the tracking of the belt. I had to adjust it because it wanted to kick one way or the other. It's very finicky. You have to just kind of guess at it, and then once you get it close, it just takes a tiny, tiny bit, and it'll send it off the side. So we got that figured out. We got this pad on here. All in all, it's together. It seems pretty decent. The only thing I didn't like was when I took it apart, I wanted to check the belt tension in here just to make sure it was tight. But when you squeeze on the belt, the motor and this kind of flex a little bit. So I loosened the motor up, slid it back tight. There's actually some bolts under here. Not sure if you guys can see them. Here, let's lay it down real quick. So there's some bolts right here. You can loosen these ones, and there are like slots for you to slide the motor back and tighten the belt if you want to. And then there's also these bolts here which hold this whole assembly down. So I went ahead and tightened those to make sure that that wasn't the issue. Still has a little bit of flex in it when you squeeze the belt, but it doesn't seem like it's going to be that big of a deal. And then obviously right here you can loosen this to take the belt off and put a new belt on. You just gotta pop the cover off, which kind of sucks. I wish that you could just switch them out relatively easy, but it's not that bad. Couple screws and it all pops off. So we're gonna go ahead and grab a piece of pipe here in a minute. We will grab some aluminum tubing and go ahead and see if we can't true up a cut that we made on the bandsaw. Play around with it a little bit. We'll probably try shaping like a piece of flat aluminum, maybe a piece of mild steel and some other things, and just see what happens. And then at the end, I'll tell you guys what I personally think about it. So let's grab some metal and give this thing a try. Alright guys, so we went ahead and got this thing all set up. You can see my Milwaukee vacuum is over here next to it. I did find a little adapter that I had kicking around that worked perfect. It went right to the little vent that is on the belt sander for hooking up to a vacuum. So we're going to end up using my little battery powered one. Hopefully it'll help keep the belt clear while we're working with the aluminum. We have a 120 grit belt on it, and then I put a 180 grit disc on here. Like I said, we're mainly going to be working with aluminum. That was one of the main reasons I picked this up, is because we're working on the GTO project behind us, and we're making all of the intercooler piping, which if you guys want to see that video, make sure to subscribe because that one will be coming out shortly as well. So I seen a bunch of people trying this belt sander with wood, couldn't find anybody using it with metal or aluminum, so I figured I'd go ahead and give it a shot to see if it's going to work out for any of you DIY guys that are trying to do something similar to what I'm doing. So we grabbed a bunch of scrap that we had laying around and some coupons. We've got a 1/16 inch thick coupon here and an 1/8 inch coupon here. I went ahead and scribed a line in both of them at about 1/8 so that we can see how long roughly it's going to take a 1/8 inch off of this coupon and the 1/8 inch coupon. We did grab some mild steel, but I'm not sure if we're going to mess with it too much because I don't want to contaminate the belt. We might try it on here, but not sure on the belt. So this is just some mild steel exhaust that we were using for doing the exhaust on the GTO when we built it. And then we've got an 1/8 inch mild steel coupon as well. And then, of course, the most important part to me is some leftover intercooler piping scraps that I cut with the bandsaw, and I purposely did not clean up the edges. So we can see if this thing's going to face it very well and if we can play around with the angles a little bit and see how it works for us. So let's go ahead and get set up here. We'll kick the vacuum on, get the belt sander on, and we will see how this thing does with aluminum. Alright guys, so the first thing that we are going to go ahead and test here is the 1/16 inch aluminum coupon. Figured that's the thinnest stuff, so we might as well go start with that. So I'm going to go ahead and get the vacuum kicked on, we'll turn the machine on, and then we'll see roughly how long it takes to take off that 1/8 inch. And then we might just try shaping it or playing around with it a little bit, and then we'll move on to something else. So let's go ahead and give it a shot. Alright guys, so it took it down a lot quicker than I thought. Honestly, it went down pretty good. We took off that whole 1/8 inch rather quickly using the 120 grit belt. So now I'm going to go ahead and grab the 1/8 inch coupon and we will see how long this one takes. Do the same thing and see how it goes. Then we'll start playing around with some other stuff and seeing if we can shape a few things and go from there. So let's try it out. Again, it did pretty good. That's with the 120 grit. I think it did a pretty good job cleaning this end up. You could obviously tilt it up a little bit and get the edges a little better, but for just straight facing it, I think it did really well, and that was pretty quick for 120 grit paper. I think for what we're doing, we might even go to the 180 grit on the belt, and it might be a better fit for us for the intercooler piping, seeing that it's a lot thinner than this. So that worked out really well. I'm happy with that. Let's move on to something else and see how something else goes. So I don't know if you guys can see here, but I started rounding that edge with a hand grinder. So I'm going to try doing the same thing on this side and see if it's a little bit easier or quicker, and just play around with this thing a little bit. I think that's pretty good. Let's face it. I think it worked pretty good, guys. Gave us a nice little edge around there. Rounded that right off. Faced it a little bit better than when I cut it. So I'm happy with that. Next, we could try this flat disc right here and see what we think we could use that for. I'm not sure if we're going to try rounding a few things. Like maybe we can try hitting this again on it. Or we might even try the coupon on it and just see how it does. So let's go ahead and give that a shot. For this one, we won't have the vacuum on because it has its own little port down here and I don't have a hose small enough for it. So we're just going to have to try it like it is. Let's turn it a little bit. Let's give it a shot. Alright guys, so let's go ahead and try using this thing here. It is like a degree wheel type thing. We're going to go ahead and give it a shot. I wish there was like a set screw or something to hold this in place, but we don't have one, so I'm not too worried about it. We're going to go ahead and set it at right around 45 degrees. And we'll give it a shot. Let's go ahead and try it with the 1/8 inch coupon. We're just going to run it in kind of like that, I guess. It was working. It was giving us a 45. I think I've just got the 180 on here. I think it's just a little bit too fine for what I'm trying to do, and still getting used to it. Not really, I didn't really buy it for the disc. I more bought it for the belt. So let's go ahead and play around with the belt a little bit more. Let's go ahead and pick up our coupon again, and I'm just gonna try like rounding off the corners, playing around with it a little bit, and see how it does. So let's try that. Let's try the same thing with the 1/8 inch. Well guys, that actually works out pretty good. I tried it first with the 1/16 inch, got some nice rounded corners, pretty consistent, and this is my first time really playing with a belt sander, so I'm pretty happy with that. I think it looks good. Same thing with this, I just went ahead and rounded each corner off. Just looks like a cleaner piece if you were going to use it for a bracket or mount something to it, whatever. It's just a coupon, but for practicing and just testing this thing, it's great. That was 1/8 inch aluminum, and it did really well. It cleans it right up. You can see there, that's where I was hitting it with the belt sander. I didn't do this edge, and I don't think I did that edge. Hit this a little bit, but it cleans it right up really nice. Like I said, the edges are nice and round. It seems to be working pretty good. So I'm gonna go ahead and play around with this thing for a little bit more so that I can give you guys an honest answer. So let's go ahead and try facing up this intercooler pipe right here. We'll see if we can get it to clean up a little bit better than what we've got here. Probably still have to hit it with our deburring tool on the inside, but maybe not. So let's go ahead and play with this and see what we can come up with. Alright guys, so I went ahead and played around with the belt sander for a while now. I've been playing with it for a little bit and have used it on a few different things as far as aluminum goes. Like I said, that was the main reason I was buying it, and the reason I'm reviewing it is for people that are trying to work with like intercooler piping and things like that. So let's take a look at what we've got here. You can see this 180 pipe that I went ahead and cut down, and I faced up using the bandsaw. If you guys want to see what this is going to be used for, you're going to have to stay tuned for the next video. It faced up very nice. Everything seems to fit together really good once I finish it off with the bandsaw here. I went ahead and played around with some other bends and pie cut type things that I had laying around, and just some scraps really, and tried to face them up, and the finish comes out really good. It's working pretty well for me. There are a few things that I'm gonna go ahead and mention about this thing. So we're using the Milwaukee vacuum, as you guys had seen, and the dust collection. It is aluminum. It's not the best at picking up all the chips. I'm sure it's getting the majority of it, but I did go ahead and vacuum all around the machine when we were done. Another thing I'd like to mention is the belt itself. I would, if you're going to be working with aluminum and metal, I would probably get maybe even a finer belt. I feel like this one is 120 grit and it's still a little bit aggressive for the speed that this belt sander goes. I definitely think that a higher speed belt sander could be of value to someone, but I'm not going to rule this one out. I think it's going to do just about everything that I need to do with it, especially with the aluminum stuff. I think it's just fine. You do have to take your time a little bit. You can't go in there and just force the pipe into the belt. It gets kind of like jumpy if you do. Not sure if that is a speed related issue or a kind of like flimsiness of the machine. It doesn't seem to rattle all that much or flex all that much when you're using it, but I'm not really sure what causes the pipe to jump if you try to press too hard. But if you take your time with it and just kind of feed it at a steady pace and keep a light, constant pressure on it, it seems to work very well. So all in all, I'm super happy with it. I think for the price, it is definitely a good addition to the shop. Like I said before, I did the review on the PrimeWeld TIG 225 AC/DC machine. I also did a review on the titanium MiG 170 from Harbor Freight. So, like I said with those machines, they are a great machine for the budget. You got to remember what you're spending on this belt sander here. You're not spending hundreds of dollars. You're getting it for under $90 from Harbor Freight, and they do a lot of coupons where you can get these things down as low as $65, $70 sometimes. So if you can get them for that price, I would definitely recommend it for you guys at home. As always, I appreciate you guys checking out the video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and ring that bell. That way you get notified anytime we put out a video with the GTO, the Duramax, or the Hellcat, and we will catch you on the next one.